Okay, it's October 17th, and we have our first frost of the year here in Zone 7A. The average first frost for my zone is October 15th, so the USDA really nailed it this year. Although this was a light frost, only my plants on the trellis seem to have been damaged by it, and the rest were protected by the fence. It is going to warm back up in a few days, so I'm hoping for one more harvest. Okay, it's actually been a month since that little clip of the frost. It's mid-November right now. Right after that frost, it ended up warming right back up. That was a little false fall, but it is getting cold for real this week. So today I'm going to be doing several things just to close out the pepper garden for this year. So first off, I'm going to harvest all these peppers. My datil plants have really been going crazy still, just loaded with peppers waiting to harvest. And then I'm going to overwinter a bunch of these white fatales. I won't go too in depth on that because I have a separate video, but most of these will be getting cut down to overwinter. A couple of them I'm going to cut down to put in a hydroponic system for another video I'm working on. And I'm also going to put up the Thirsty Earth system that I've had going this year. So I think these datil peppers will make up the majority of my harvest today. These plants are really doing well. They seem to take a little longer to bloom than some of my other pepper plants, but now that they're going, they're just rolling. And these actually still have flowers and flower buds on them. So I wish I had room to bring these inside for the winter, but I don't. So I might just put them in the greenhouse, see if we can get a few more peppers on them before they get killed by the cold. This white fatale plant is actually loaded with little bitty peppers. It's hard to see since they're the same color as the leaves, but it's loaded down. Definitely gonna put it in the greenhouse today as well. I'm getting a decent amount of these lemon drop peppers today as well. It's pretty impressive. Over this season, every one of these pepper plants in the big bins has given me over 200 peppers each. So I give a lot of that credit to the big containers. These are the 25-gallon cattle protein tubs that I'm growing in. And then a lot of credit to the Dino-Myco treatment as well. My recent experiment showed that that really increases the flowering on these plants as well as the growth. I've gotten most of the orange peppers off of this big datil plant. This thing is actually over 4 feet tall, but it is still covered in green peppers. Check out all of these. So pretty soon I might come back and pick all of these green datil peppers and make a fermented green sauce with them. I've got a recipe on my page where I did that with a bunch of unripe habaneros one year at the end of the season, and it came out really good. So I might come back and do that with all of these green datil peppers. I wish I could bring this plant in to let them ripen up, but it is an in-ground plant. And look at this tree trunk it has on it. So that is a sturdy plant. Like I said, over 4 feet tall. Gotten over 200 ripe peppers from it. And there's probably, I don't know, at least another 70 or so on there. This is a pretty impressive one. And all these plants that are not getting overwintered, eventually I'm just pulling them out. This is a jalapeno plant I pulled out of this bin so that I can plant some potatoes in this cold weather. But all of these will get composted. So people always ask me what's in my homemade compost when I show me use it in the videos. And a lot of times it's just pepper plants. So I guess whatever's in these is what pepper plants need to grow. So it's kind of full circle. Okay, to the galvanized tub that was new to me this year. These marigolds are far from their former glory. They really showed out this year, but are winding down now. I do have some hatch chilies that have turned red that I can pick today. I'm excited for that. And next to it, I have this jalapeno plant that has just showed out all year. This was a Craig's Grande jalapeno variety, and it is once again covered in jalapenos ready for me to pick. It has just done really well all this year. Got a bunch of red ones on here. I heard you guys in the comments last time you're telling me to make chipotles, smoke those things. So I think I'll try that here soon with some of these. But yeah, this thing's loaded down once again. And yeah, still flowers as well. I don't think those are gonna make it, but I do attribute a lot of this growth to the Dino-Myco, as I mentioned. It really increases that flower amount and gets you branches just loaded down like this, and also lets them be strong enough to support this many peppers. So I'm interested to see how many I get out of this thing today. I think my last harvest of it was 50 or 60. Okay, we're up to 50 with just a gorgeous mix of green and red ones. And that was just this backside of the plant up under there. I still have the top here to go, some of these really big ones, and then this branch, which is just completely loaded. Okay, I think I got them all, and we have 94 peppers here. So that is a ton of jalapenos, and yeah, I don't know what I'll do with all of them. Probably some poppers, maybe make some chipotles like I mentioned, but beautiful harvest, especially for November. And what's crazy is this plant would keep going if the climate allowed. So it's definitely been a good one for me this season. Got well over 100 with 94 in this harvest alone. I got my lemon drops and a couple white fatales, all my datil peppers, and then some hatch chilies as well. Some of these bells I grabbed too. The plants for them are looking pretty rough, so I didn't really document them, but beautiful harvest. And let's get on to some overwintering. Okay, one more peek at our harvest before we move on to these white fatales. So I have 12 grow bags, and one of the plants died, so I have 11 white fatale plants. 8 of them will be overwintered, and 2 of them will go indoors into some hydroponics. They're looking pretty rough right now. We've had several nights in the low 40s and high 30s. So they've lost a lot of their leaves and are pretty miserable. But I'm hoping they take to the overwintering well. This year, to overwinter them in, I bit the bullet and got some of these bootstrap farmer trays, which are super cool. I feel like every year I was buying nursery pots, like cheap black plastic ones, and they're only $1 or so, but they would just completely fall apart after just 1 year, so I'd have to buy more, and more plastic waste. These are really solid 5-inch pots, and they come in this cool tray to lug them around in. So this year I'm actually going to document bringing these plants all the way through the winter. My overwintering video is really popular, but I got a lot of questions about watering, how often, temperatures, specifics, things like that. So I will be moving this around some, and that will make it very easy to move around. But as I make that video and show you guys how to do all that, because there's a million videos on YouTube showing you how to cut these plants down for overwintering, but very few that show the plants living the next spring, and almost none that show how to care for them through the winter. And I'm guilty as well. My video showed them alive the next spring, growing back, and how to cut them down, but I kind of left out some details on how to care for them through the winter. So I'm gonna take care of that this year. But first I'm gonna cut these down and then transfer 8 of them into these. I would also be remiss if I didn't mention that these are the plants that I built the Thirsty Earth system for in a video this spring. And a lot of people have been asking for updates on this system. So I'm happy to say that it worked phenomenally all summer. I really enjoyed it. I would have it on all of my plants if my budget allowed. And it really did cut down my watering times. Not only because I don't have to put water in all the plants, I just put it in the reservoir, but also because I only have to do it maybe every 3 days to week, depending on the temperature. And with these grow bags, if you've used them, in the hot part of the summer, they need water every day. So on their website, it says you can go like a week between waterings, but when it got really hot here, I was still having to water maybe every 3 days or so, but still a big improvement. I did learn a few things though. The first is try to keep these things buried all the way. You can see mine, the dirt kind of settled and they got some algae on them. So I would try to keep them buried all the way to keep the light off them. I bet that makes the water last longer as well. This kind of just gradually soil level settled over the summer. I'm excited to pull some of these out though and see what the roots did. But my only other tip is for the reservoir. You gotta get some of these mosquito dunks. So you just break this into quarters and put a piece in the reservoir. Mosquitoes found their way into my reservoir and had larvae in there. I use these in my rain barrel as well. They work awesome. They're all natural too, so no chemicals or anything. And they work so well in this bucket and in my rain barrel that I started to do these mosquito buckets of doom. they're called, where I just put water in them and some leaves and vegetation, and then a quarter of these, and it attracts the mosquitoes to have their larvae in there, and then the larvae die. So it helps keep mosquitoes down in the garden. Like I mentioned, I've been excited to check in on this all summer, but I didn't want to disturb the roots. So it'd be nice to pull one of these out and see if the roots really, yeah, they really attach themselves to that terracotta, getting water straight from the thirsty earth system. So that's pretty cool to see. I'm gonna pack these up because they can't resist freezing. So it'll be good to get them all out. I'll pull a few more of these out for you guys just because that was very satisfying. Looks awesome. Definitely kept these plants watered well. I'm going to take the nuts, the cap nuts off the top, and flip them upside down and drain them, just so, like I said, water doesn't freeze in them. I'll keep them in the shed for the winter. All right, guys, I got these things all dug up from the grow bags, and what I've done is I just trimmed them down to like 2 nodes up from the roots. So just left like 1 Y of each one, and then yeah, dug it up. So I just have a little root ball. Next, I'm going to wash off these root balls, maybe trim them a bit if needed, add some neem oil to these so I don't bring bugs inside, and then put them in my cool new tray. And you already know I added the trimmings of those plants to my compost pile as well. Okay, got these potted up in their new 5-inch pots with some fresh dirt. Gave them a little water, so hopefully they'll recover quick. And I'm excited to bring these white photolis through the winter with me. Between that and this harvest, it's been a good day's work. I'm excited to deal with all these peppers and see how these do over the winter. Be sure to like this video if you're still watching and you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you haven't. Thanks again.